But if you don't, my name is Leonard Martin. I'm going to talk a little bit about something that happened to me in July of 2020. I had an accident. I turned a backhoe over on me and crushed myself. People tell me I'm lucky or it's a miracle I'm still alive. I tell them I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God. He performed a miracle. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened that day. I was working on my driveway when it happened. It happened quick. The front tire dropped in a hole and it threw me off. I looked up and seen the backhoe coming at me. And I couldn't get out of the way. I had time to say 5 words. I said, "It's over. Forgive me, Lord." I never expected to take another breath. My next words were, "I'm not dead. Thank you, Lord." I lay there a couple of minutes, and I got to wondering if I was even hurt. I was in no pain. So I started trying to get out from under it. When I finally got out from under it, I realized my arm was broke. So I tried to get up so I could go to the hospital and fix it and go back to work. I couldn't get up. I realized I was hurt really bad. So I tried to find my phone in my pocket. It wasn't there. I found it, but it was broken. So my next thought was, I'm just going to have to crawl to the neighbors. The pain was excruciating. I prayed to God for the strength to keep crawling several times. I ended up crawling about 20 yards. It took me about an hour. And I just finally realized I couldn't do it. So I rolled over and just tried to get comfortable. I knew I'd have to wait for someone to find me. Nobody knew where I was at. I lay there for about 8 hours that day. A lot of things go through your mind when you can't move. I hadn't been to church in over 30 years. I always thought there was time. There almost wasn't. I prayed more in that 8 hours than I had my whole life. I knew I needed to change my life and take advantage of my second chance. A lot of people don't get a second chance. I didn't know if I would ever walk again or if I would live till someone found me. I just kept praying. About dark, I had actually was laying there trying to decide what to do, whether to try to fight and stay awake or just go to sleep. I closed my eyes for about 30 seconds and I heard 4-wheelers. And I thought, all right, somebody's looking for me. Well, then I realized the 4-wheelers was coming from the wrong direction. It wasn't somebody looking for me. But I could tell that they were getting closer. So I prayed they would see the backhoe laying there because I knew they couldn't see me. They did. They stopped. They left the 4-wheelers running. We're talking to each other. I could hear every word they said, but they couldn't hear me. Finally, I heard someone say, "I heard something." And then I heard them say, "No, you didn't hear nothing. You're just imagining things." So I just kept hollering help. And finally the girl said, "I just heard it again. I really do hear something." So they shut the 4-wheelers off and heard me. It was my neighbor. Wyatt had to go to the top of the hill called 911 because they had no service where we was at. And he called the 911 and my parents. The ambulance got there in about 5 minutes. I found out later the ambulance, I lived 10 miles from town. I found out later the ambulance was only like 3 miles from me going down the highway. I took a helicopter ride to Springfield. It was the fastest trip I ever took to Springfield. I used to drive really fast too. I had 5 hours of surgery 2 days later. I'm really glad that God gave the doctors ability to do what they do. I spent 34 days in the hospital and 12 weeks in a wheelchair. I thought about a lot about the day of my accident. And I believe that Satan was trying to get me that day. But Jesus grabbed my hand and said, "No, he's mine." I don't think Jesus has let go of my hand since. I know a lot of people will look at 2020 as one of the worst years of their life. I could too after what I've been through. But I won't. I will look at it as the best year of my life because I started going back to church and let God back in my life. Every morning when I wake up and every evening when I go to bed, I thank God for my life, my health, my family, and my friends. And I've got a lot of new friends in my church. It's also amazing the wonderful people that would help you in a small town. They had 2 benefits for me, raised me enough money to survive while I was off of work. I own my grandpa's place. My grandpa had a place he went to pray. We call it the 3 Sycamores. A few times since my accident, I've walked to the place where I had my accident and got on my knees and prayed. Now I have my special place to go to pray. A while back, Uncle Gene told me that my dad always told him that when he got to heaven, he would see me there. A couple of years ago, that wouldn't have happened. Because I wasn't right with God. I hope to meet my dad there. Thank you. That's all I've got wrote down, but I was going to try to say some other things, and I'm just drawing a blank now. I thank God that He did give me a second chance at life. And I hope maybe that my testimony will help someone else and bring them to realize that what things that God can do for you, because He can do anything for you. Thank you.